Chris, thank you for coming on People of Durham. I really appreciate it. This is honestly quite amazing. We have, I would consider a pretty big deal. You're running for mayor of Whitby, and I've seen you probably over 100 times being a photographer, capturing events at different Whitby events in Brooklyn and all over the place. And you've been putting a lot of hard work into Whitby and proving your worth, and being a voice of people too. So the format of this episode is going to be introducing yourself, a bit of your history, accomplishments, hopes and dreams, conflicts, and if you do become the mayor of Whitby, like what are some things that you would like to change and things like that?
Yeah, sure. Sounds great.
Awesome. So yeah, introduce yourself, and you're a person of Durham, born and bred or moved in?
It's well, I guess technically I was born in Peterborough. I've only lived in Durham since '79. So we moved when I was 3?
Yeah, well, it's just a hop and a skip. That's right next door, Peterborough.
Yeah,
Peterborough's beautiful too.
Yeah, so that's where my family's from. So that's where I was born. Parents lived in Toronto briefly for less than 2 years, and then they settled in Whitby. So and then life and the story and the roots and all begin from there. So it's I lived in Whitby my whole life.
Nice.
Went to really just been here forever. As a kid, I went to St. John's, then I went to St. Teresa, then I went to Austin. One of the first classes to go through Austin. Before the building was even built, we were in temporary student
portables
accommodations. I wasn't in the port. We were in the old Dennis O'Connor, which was beside St. John's Church. So it's funny, the grade 9s were in a different building than the grade 10s and 11s. It was a whole weird, interesting high school experience. Just to start, and then eventually in grade 10 and beyond, we were finally in the building that's Austin there now.
Nice.
Which was great. And then it's an interesting connection too, because now my kids went to Austin, because we live right up there too. So it's a great connection. Go Wildcats. And even it's fun to see my kids in their Wildcat gear, which is great. So yeah, again, lived in Whitby my whole life. I've lived all over Whitby. I've lived in every single ward, lived in 5 different houses growing up, and I've lived in a couple myself. So it's just this interesting dynamic. I have connections and experiences just living in every aspect of Whitby, which is really fascinating. That's
phenomenal. Yeah, no, especially being like a homeowner in basically every ward. Like you really get to know the areas very well, being like you're living in each one of them, and their unique strengths and weaknesses and what they need and what they're what they're known for and things like that, right?
Yeah, and the other great thing about growing up and living and working and being in a community you've lived your entire life, I have that experience where it's rare to go on a street when you're door knocking and you don't find somebody that knows you in some way, shape, or form, or knew my mom, who works as a receptionist for a couple of doctors in the downtown Whitby Medical Clinic for almost 30 years. And so you run into people that know my mom or know my dad, or people that worked with my dad he worked at IBM, or were patients of my wife, who had a family practice at the Oshawa Clinic Group for about 17 years.
Wow.
So you're running into people there, or people that I played baseball with, or my coach. He lives when I was a kid. Lives on Holiday Drive. It's great just the random people you run into, or people that you played baseball with, or people that I coached as a soccer coach. My wife and I coached for years when our kids were doing soccer.
Nice.
So many soccer players across town. It's such a great experience to have that connection through all kinds of facets of your life when you've lived your entire life in one community. Yeah,
absolutely. You're clearly incredibly well connected with the family aspects and the living and all that. Growing up when you were younger, if I may, what did you think you may become before the political career, of course?
Well, here's the thing. I've always been interested in politics.
Nice.
Since day one. I was in student council the whole time I was in high school. If I go back to my yearbook, I was most likely to become prime minister, because I was just, anyways.
That's awesome.
Somebody else picked that, I didn't. But just you go back to all those different things. I have always been interested in public policy and politics. My undergrad was in political science and economics. And then I did my MBA in strategic marketing.
Nice, right.
And with a bit of a focus on finance. So you have all you have all those aspects. So no, I've always been interested in politics and public policy. I didn't know how that was going to manifest itself. And after my daughter was born, just after 2006, I'm like, oh well, let's try a soft entry into that, which is the traditional route, and I went for the school board. So ran for the Durham Catholic Board, which is where I went as a kid, and all my kids went, and my wife and I were both Catholic, and started the journey there. So that was the first thing. I wasn't quite sure. You're a little uncertain. You just start meeting people, you do some election signs, you go and try and connect, and lo and behold, I won. It was a great experience. And that whole 4-year experience at the board, and then that just prepared me. I'm like, well, this is good. Let's try for council. And you learned a lot. Like that was 2014. Ran for West Ward councillor, which is where I still live in the West Ward, and just again a great experience. It was difficult. It was challenging with a really young family. Like that was my youngest wasn't even born yet. Or was she born? No, she was born by that time. She was born while I was at the school board.
Right.
But that was, so you have 3 young kids and you're running for council. You wanna put stress on a marriage, run for politics.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Or run a business together.
Yeah, that might be even worse. Where it's for some people you could always get along, but if you see each other every day, all day at work and all day at night, and you don't have any breaks. That really tested the relationship.
That's what it is with me and Abby. We are,
Right.
But thank goodness we can, there's pros to that. You can be honest with each other.
Yes.
There's no beating the bush. There's quite literally just straight facts and truth and just solving problems together. There is definitely, at least we're not sitting beside each other all day. I'm out in the field. I'm photographing events and capturing real estate listings and business promo videos. She's on the back end, administrative and editing and quality control. So at least there's still separation, but it's still
Yeah, and that part's great.
Oh,
you have the part, and every place is dynamic. For many years, my wife always said, well, if it doesn't work out, you can always be my receptionist. I know the patients would love you. So
there you go. That's amazing. Incredible. And, looking back, and I got to say, actually, the school system in the Durham region is pretty phenomenal. It's quite amazing. I'm just a big fan of it. I went to Donald A. Wilson, and before then, started at Ormiston. And it's just because I floated around with school border zones changing slightly. I wasn't a bad kid. I went to 3 public schools. Ormiston, then Vanden Bosch, and then for the last 2 years, Pringle Creek. And so I had quite a good variety of schools I've gone to, and then Donald A. Wilson and All Saints across the street. Just phenomenal. I remember there being, especially at All Saints, there would be programs in arts and film, photography, or boxing or something even, I think. There's all these great programs, and I was just at another high school, not O'Neill, but in Oshawa somewhere. I forget what it's called already. Going up Ritz and halfway in the middle of Oshawa. And they have the massive cafeteria and a huge theater stage, just phenomenal. The high schools in the Durham region are great. I think it's just amazing what kids can be able to do, and it's a great environment to figure out who you think, what you're interested in, and testing grounds before going into either university, which is even more testing grounds.
Yeah, which is a great experience. It's I look at my youngest; she's in the arts program at All Saints.
Nice.
And she's not a wildcat, but we'll forgive her. And so again, great experience. So she's vocal arts. She's doing the plays. She just had another play production that we saw that wrapped up on Sunday. And she absolutely loves it. Thriving.
Nice.
We take her to singing lessons every week.
Oh, that's great. Awesome.
She's thriving.
Yeah.
An amazing community spirit there.
Very good.
Great school.
Yeah. How do you think your experience with running during your time with the Durham Catholic School Board, how has that prepared you for wanting to, through your other career of being a counselor and onwards?
Well, I think it's all very complimentary and just helps prepare you to do a better job. In my experience, you're looking at counselors that come up through the ranks, whether anyone that's had school board experience before they get on council, they're a little bit better prepared. They understand the process better. They know what's in the limits of what we can do and what we can't do. You'll see a lot of folks that are maybe running for the first time, and they're promise the world, we're going to do everything. We're going to solve world hunger, and everything's going to be free. Maybe not quite that extravagant, but there's understanding the limits of what you can and can't do and what you can and can't influence. And I find folks that have gone through the school board really get that sense of the ability of someone in public office to move the Titanic and move the policy. You can definitely have an influence. It's a more impactful role than anything I've ever done in the private sector, which is why I love it and why I've always been drawn to it. But it's incremental, it's slow, it's a collaborative. You need teamwork. You need to be working together and make your case so that the other decision makers can see what you're trying to do within the confines of the bureaucracy, within the confines of the budgeting process, within the confines of what you can influence. So it is, I think people going through the school board experience first is a really strong way of setting up to be for them to be a successful counselor across the board.
Awesome. Yeah, and just as you're talking about like these processes and everything, I don't know a whole lot of the back end there, and probably many listeners don't, right? And that leads me to think like, what do you what are some things that you think like the common public would love them to kind of just like wrap their heads around and understand, like, like as you said, you can't make everything happen. You do need to choose. Unfortunately, there are budgets, and that's why there's taxes and everything else. Like, I guess part A being, what are some current avenues that people can like either get involved or learn about the latest info, as opposed to like crazy dysphoria online. And then part B, like, what are some things you wish people like understood about politics simply?
That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
There. I'll try and take it one bite at a time. It's really what would be more important is for people to be engaged. Like, what we have a challenge, not just in Whitby, across most municipalities in this province, that there's very little engagement at the municipal level. Like our voter turnout in 2022, the last time I ran, it was 23%. So that means let's say you talk to 100 people in Whitby, only 23 of them vote. 77 were like, we'll let somebody else decide. It's such a struggle. So first of all, it's just getting people engaged. Like, you have the one extreme where you've got Australia, where you literally get escalating fines if you don't vote.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if it's like $350 and it's $700 and $1,000, and like they eventually can go to jail time. So I don't know how much they do it, but just forcing the engagement, talking to some residents that actually are from Australia, they sing the praises of that, because everybody in town will know who their councillors and their mayor is.
Right.
Every single person, because why wouldn't I just spend 20 minutes to go vote, then pay, $1,000 fine for not getting off my duff? So it's this interesting approach. I don't think it's too far. I'm not a big fan of heavy-handed government forcing people to do anything. I think people need to have that choice.
Right.
But I wish there was more engagement. And there's also the reverse of the engagement in the federal and the provincial area. So the part of government that touches people the most is the municipal government. You're on their local roads every day, your local parks, you're going for walks on the sidewalks, you're picking up your garbage, picking up your recycling, picking up your leaf bags, cutting the grass, going to lessons, looking at the parks, looking at the facilities across town, making sure the traffic lights work, fire, paramedics, you name it, police. All of that's local. That's all driven by your property tax dollars. And yet it's the least engagement. Whereas federally, which gets the most engagement, like 50, 60, it was over 60% of this last federal election. And then provincially it's around 50 or so, if memory serves. But those ones, like, how much do they really touch it? Like, how often do you need a passport? How often do you need to make sure that, the national defense is working? Like, you just hope it is. But or you need the Coast Guard to come and get you. Like, think of the services that are provided by the federal government, and they're very, high level. They're very out there. It's foreign relations. It's working on all those different things. Like, it just doesn't touch your day to day, other than your passport and you're paying your property, your federal your income taxes. There's not much. And then provincially, at least a little bit more. Like, everyone's got to have their health card to go see their doctor. Whether you've been through the education system or not, you are benefiting from that, because you need to have an educated population to take care of you, even if you don't have kids. So that at least touches you on the education side, and provincial roads and sort of things. So there's at least more of a connection there. But as you see, it goes down and down. But there's more media coverage at the federal and the provincial level. Like municipally, we don't have any media.
Right.
We, like, our local paper doesn't really exist. I know the Whitby this week, they relaunched a print version a couple months ago.
Nice.
But it is, it's very small.
Yeah.
It's very limited content. It's being distributed in Tim Hortons, which I applaud them for trying to do some community newspaper and out there. But even that, not having the ability for that to go to every door like the old paper does, there's just that much less engagement. And when you have less media and less engagement at what's going on, people are less informed. So of course they're going to be less engaged. So it's kind of like this cycle that's feeding itself of inability to try and engage locally. So if I could wave a magic wand and ask folks to do, it would be to get engaged in the local process, whether it's through elections, like find someone that you resonate with, find somebody that represents your values, because that's what's more important. Yes, we put out our policy pieces and we have different things, but you can't predict in a election campaign the issue that's going to come up in 2 years that no one even knows about, and who you think has the right values to represent you and make the best decision for you and your family. So that's a lot of it is about values, and it's trying to say, well, who has the values that resonates the most with me that I want in that position. And I encourage you to engage with them, and I encourage you to connect with those campaigns and get involved. It is also difficult to get people engaged in the election process. So you have your network, you have your friends, you have the people you meet, and then you're just trying to build this community support to go out and spread that message, whatever that message is that you want to do. Like, for example, for a key part of my campaign, right, this thing is, lower taxes for a change. So I've been elected in Whitby for 16 years. I've been on council for 12. I've been on the region for 8. And again, love this community. It's very, very important to me. I wouldn't be so passionate and spend so much time away from my family if I wasn't that committed and passionate about it. But part of the challenges that we see here today, again, are the cost of living. Some of that cost of living is, of course, outside of our control. What's going on overseas and wars and internationally, and our neighbors to the south, our neighbors in Europe, like all over the place. Like all those things impact us at a macro level. Gas prices, as you know, well, at least they're not $1.90 this week, but $1.70 or $1.68 is still pretty high. It's those impact us and make all of our costs higher. But government has the ability to influence that through the property tax mechanism. And Whitby and Oshawa, if you look at the 29 municipalities across the GTA, we have the absolute highest taxes, bar none. We are higher than anywhere else. But we all provide pretty much the same services. You're still going to get a police officer in Mississauga. You're still going to get a paramedic out in Milton. You're still going to get a fire prop out in Barrie, out in Toronto, all those things. But based on past decisions and things that have happened here and the town and the region, we just have the most expensive taxes. So we've the people that we have elected have made decisions that have put us into like a high cost environment, like higher than our neighbors. And the question comes down to the average resident. Is that where we need to be? Is that where we want to be? Like, I definitely love our community. I love everything about it, but we have created a really high cost regime. And is that what people want? Maybe they do. Maybe they're okay with these really, really high taxes and the plan to make them go even higher. So depends on how you want to go. I can go anywhere on this part, but there's so many tangents there, like decisions at the region, spending, other different pieces that have gone over there. Like a common theme that I've been trying to do for especially the last term of council is just point out all the things that I think are overspending and waste. Like I'm sure have you walked through the $1 million door?
No. Oh, what's this? What is the $1 million door?
So this was, again, back to the story. So again, I've been on the finance committee for 8 years. Finance and numbers and taxes, very, very important to me. Like it's laser focused on that. And it was interesting one day. We have a large capital budget at the region. So it's about $400 million a year. So it's a significant amount of money. And we have large budget. There can be anywhere from 500 to 800 some pages for those budgets. They're massive documents, and we do read them, and you do everything you can to understand all the pages. But you're not always going to catch everything because it's a team effort. You've got all the staff working on it. You got 20 members of council, so you do everything to catch it. But within that $400 million budget, there was a number of years ago, was it 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago? There's a $500,000 line item. It's just one line. It says $500,000.
Right.
Replaced front entrance.
Seriously.
So, and that's fine. I'm like, okay, I don't know. There's no other detail about it. It's part of a large project. It's called a workplace modernization project at the region where they revamped the whole building.
Oh.
So that was a decision was made to renovate the building to make it better for more people to come into the office and work, which is interesting because it was kind of during COVID when no one was coming to work, but it's still, people were planning long-term, and I applaud that.
Right.
So, and the question was, if we modernize the building, we don't have to build another building.
Okay.
So that was maybe we'll save a little bit of money there, and I buy into that. I supported it. I think it's a great idea. And then COVID costs are going up, and it's like, okay, a bunch of these workplace modernization projects, it's going to be a little bit more, and each project's going to be a little bit more. And then there's another memo a little later. Okay, it's the costs are still going up. Tariffs and oversight, things are going up a little bit more. It's a little bit more, but we're still going to save money overall. And again, I buy into that argument. But then one day I'm going into the meeting, at the finance meeting, which is the second Tuesday of the month. Come and join us at the Region 9:30.
Nice.
Everybody's welcome.
Oh, that's great.
And so you walk in there, and I was like, the brand new door is finished. So you have this big revolving door, but there's all this caution tape all over it. So it's like, why is a brand new door shut down? And that's when I asked the questions for staff. Well, why is it shut down? Oh, well, people were getting injured by it. So I said, so this brand new door, so the sensors weren't working and they were failing. I think they were saying it was like a mass evacuation. So some people that were inside the revolving door, the doors with sensors would go off and it was collapsing the doors on them.
My.
So staff were getting hurt.
Oh, gosh.
So I said, well, okay, well, what was the final cost of this bill? And that's when it was, $1 million. So, and I was just
double.
Like, $1 million. Like, I don't know about you, but $1 million in my world is a lot of money. That's more than a lot of houses cost in Whitby. Now, you can get a bigger house and spend more, but for $1 million, you could buy a house, or you can buy a door.
Right, and that's 1/400th of the
Yes.
whole region's
Annual budget. But this is the example. And then I asked them, can we look into the $1 million door? Can we do a review? What brought us to this point? So I brought multiple motions to council. Let's investigate how we spend $1 million a door, and of course voted down. And then let's review the entire $54 million workplace modernization project. Let's get a third party in to review that, because maybe there's other things that people that are listening might say, well, maybe there's other things that we've overspent on. Maybe we should take a look.
Right.
And of course that got shot down as well.
Yeah.
So, which is really unfortunate, because now we're talking about a bit of a compare and contrast of what's really important for listeners out there, because a lot of the existing councillors, like including our existing mayor, like she didn't want to do any of those things. And to me, when you're pointing out overspend, which I think is overspend, I think it's ridiculous that you would spend that much on $1 million. I'm waiting for someone to argue with me that it's a great spend of taxpayers' money.
Sure.
Haven't had that argument yet.
It has made a solid gold.
Yeah, gold. And you'll see that, and you was on, saw the CTV story and the global story, and we talked about it on News Talk 10, like all those different things that story came up multiple times because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that is like the tip of the iceberg. Like, that's just one example of just overspend.
Right. And this is where I'm a big fan in the governance of politics is putting a magnifying glass truly to everything that you can possibly. And
Absolutely.
And then, shutting off cameras or saying, no, it raises a giant question mark. Why? Like, you're supposed to be looking into these things and saving us as much money as possible. I compare it to the finances of a personal family. I got multiple quotes from electricians, a guy that I used all the time, and for a hookup for something that I'm doing, a pool at my house. And,
awesome.
Thank you. And he quoted me something that I felt like was a little bit higher. And so I used a bit of AI too, and was like, what do you think? And then got 3 other quotes, and they all came in less than half. So, but just being responsible as all the way down to the family level. And I feel like that's a great synonym for politics in general, like you should be treating it like a family business or a nuclear family household, or even just your personal debt. You want to get out of debt eventually so that we can actually have things like sovereign wealth funds, not sovereign wealth fundraisers.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like we're gonna invest all this money, but we're borrowing it to start. We're not ahead.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole other can of worms on the federal level there. But you nailed it right on the head there. Like it's just people have to manage their budget, live within their means, and municipally governments we should be doing that. Like we have now, numbers are shifting, so I know that we've been spending more at the region, but at a recent point in time, we had $2 billion in the bank, like $2,000 million dollars in the bank,
like reserved,
different reserve funds. The town where we were approaching $300 million. So I got to say, I don't know maybe it's not today because I know we have been spending a lot, but the point is both of these things have been growing since I've been on there. So that means we are collecting money faster than we're spending it. And we're throwing into reserves. And if you look at it today, it seems like a rainy day to me. It seems like with these high costs of living and everything going up, all the gas prices going up, which is driving all the food prices. Like, tell me who doesn't think their food hasn't been more expensive than it's been in the last few years? Like
100%.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy absolutely. Expenses.
Yep.
Crazy expensive. And we're looking at all these different things, but why we're collecting more than we're spending. Like, this is why it's time for a tax break. Like, it's time for people to take a pause so they can readjust their finances because everything's going up so much.
Yeah.
Reevaluate how we're doing infrastructure at the town and the region, and be more aggressive on spending down those reserves. Like, government doesn't necessarily need reserves. Like, it's helpful.
No, yeah.
But I would rather have money in your pocket.
Right. Put that money into use. That's why, like, personally, I'm maxing out my capabilities as in investments, and I'd rather not put it in RRSPs, but that's because I have more liquid active ability to put it in my TFSA and make it actively grow faster, as opposed to seeing it in 35 years, right? So, like, breaking the tap open a bit and having some relief, because I don't know if you know, like, is all that money in reserve, does it do anything?
Well, we earn interest on it. It's okay. It is in theory, it's all allocated.
Okay.
So and in theory we are spending more than we have in the bank. But there's, like, I'm sure at the region we've got, billion, like they would argue, I think it's, if memory serves, like it's, whether it's like $3 or $4 billion or $5 billion spending plan. So we plan to spend more than we have in the bank. But why don't we start by emptying the bank first before I go and raise the taxes? Like, if you look at, go back to the annual reports, like the surpluses, like we generally have a surplus every year. So the surplus at the region is sometimes higher than the tax increase. Like, not always.
Yes.
But it's because we're making so much money on interest from all of that money in the bank. I see. And fees are coming up, and assessment growth is coming in. Assessment growth basically just means new houses come online and they start paying property taxes.
Right.
So that the income increases for the town.
Yeah, subdivisions being built everywhere.
Yeah,
North
all those
Brooklyn,
things.
North Oshawa.
So and when you get in such a large organization, these things become complex. And there's lots of mechanisms, and the staff are great in managing everything they can, because they have to manage the salaries of 5,000 people. Plus there's the police department, all their piece, and like we've almost increased their budget almost 100% since I've been there, because we've invested almost 300 new officers, invested more things. We've invested more in paramedics. At Whitby, we put in more firefighters. Like, we're constantly doing investments, which are important, because we want to keep our community safe. We want to provide all the services and make sure everything's comfortable. But there's also, it's very expensive.
Yeah,
everything's very costly. Like, especially with all the tariffs right now. Like a fire truck, used to cost $1 million and a bit. Now it's $2.8 million.
Right. Yeah.
And you need the fire truck. You can't not have a fire truck.
Right.
So you have to buy it. But then we have to find ways to get to fund and feed all these things. And my approach is going to be, use up the reserves. Like, we don't need to have a lot in reserves. Government has the ability to borrow. Like, you look at federally and provincially, they borrow all the time. So if there's a rainy day, we can borrow. And actually, we're the safest bet to place your money versus anyone else, because unfortunately, you can always raise the taxes and take it from other people.
That's true. Yeah, I suppose.
So you have this example where here at Durham Region, We have what's called a AAA credit rating, which is the best credit rating possible. We have a great credit rating because we manage so well because we have so much in the bank. Mm-hmm. But, I might rather be like some other municipalities that don't have such a great credit rating because they're spending their money that's not in the bank. That means they're not overtaxing the people that they're using it for.
Right.
But this AAA credit rating, it's almost completely meaningless because what is the benefit of a credit rating in the private sector? Well, if you have a better credit rating, you're going to have the ability to borrow more debt. You get a better interest rate. Mm-hmm. Well, government already gets the best interest rate. Whether you're AAA or triple D minus, you get the same interest rate because it's government. No. So there is no real benefit to having this AAA credit rating. Huh. The benefit is that it shows that we probably have too much money in the bank. And to me, we've overtaxed people.
Interesting. You're
and
right.
overcollected and aren't spending enough. So then that's my philosophy. So, and other people have different philosophies, and they're going to say, no, we got to save, and it's prudent to save, and it's prudent to invest. And it is.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
But I disagree with that approach because to me, I think so. I'm taking too much money from people to build infrastructure and spend on things that could be spent. We should drain those bank accounts and make sure that I don't have to overtax people because we are the most expense taxed. Let me rephrase. The highest taxed area in the GTA. You look at 29 municipalities, Whitby and Oshawa are the absolute highest.
Yes,
and
it's true.
if you could list for me the services that we do more out here versus anywhere else, I'd love to hear it because I don't see it.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. And that affects also like home prices too. Like a lot of places throughout the GTA and Canada, but let's focus on the GTA. They've home prices are kind of stabilizing a bit and even going up a little and recovering a bit, which is great for homeowners. And there's still those first-time home buyer properties too, like to get into the market. We're talking about kind of like people that are a little bit more mature, mid-decade, kind of like, in it for at least 5 or 10 years, right? There's always going to be opportunities for first-time home buyers, of course, and with all the programs available, right? Like the Durham region, it's been the slowest growth, though, because taxes are so high, and that actually does affect, like, the balance of recovery.
It has an impact. It's a little bit, but what I find is a lot of people, they're more interested in the house and the community first, and then they make their choice. And then after they buy, they notice the property taxes. And then all of a sudden, it's an issue.
Oh, this is our bill?
Because in the scheme of things, like you do, like your mortgage is your biggest payment, and your bigger payments are going to be your income taxes federally and provincially, which come off people's paycheck and they don't pay attention to. Whereas everyone knows exactly how much property tax they pay because you literally write the check to the town of Whitby. So and we collect it on behalf of the education, provincially, the education portion, and on behalf of the region. So there's, again, this assumption that everything goes to the town, or really, some goes to the province, some goes to the region. The town only collects 34% of that money that they're taxing, and other municipalities are similar. It's that interesting fact. But we actually spend way more on income tax than we do on property tax, but people are laser focused on the property tax, which is fair, and that's fine.
This is more of like a historical question. You may know, you probably will know with your extensive knowledge of politics and everything, but was income tax a temporary measure, like post World War II, or during World War II, or maybe sometime around then?
It was during the wars,
and it's just kind of stuck around.
Well, it's such a great revenue model.
Right.
And what a great way to structure it. So we're going to structure it so we're going to take the taxes before you even get them, so you don't even realize you lost it.
That's just awful.
That's how they set it up.
Yeah. That's why places like Texas and Florida are so alluring, because there's no state tax, income tax. So there's, of course, federal and maybe municipal, probably. But I wish that, and to your point of lowering taxes, it won't be like zero. But
it's part of it is to have I think again it's time for a tax freeze. So we're not realistically going to lower them. All of the costs are locked in. We already have the staff. We already have fire, police, paramedics, park staff.
Need to keep those up.
Garbage recycling, roads, snow plows. You can't turn any of those off.
Right.
But what we can do is manage the expansion of government services. So now in the new regime with the strong mayor powers, which I will use, so I'm on the record as using it, as opposed Mayor Roy ran last time. She said she wouldn't use them, and then she did. So I'm very upfront. So I will be using them. But no, my plan is to have a tax freeze for 2 years on the Whitby portion of the bill, and then to never raise taxes above inflation as long as I'm the mayor. Because when you're out talking to people across Whitby, they are not getting income increases above inflation. Like, I don't know if you do.
We set our own prices.
Yeah, so it's, I guess, when you're independent,
but we need to be. There's so much involved in that. Yeah.
But there's even more risk when you run your own business too, because if you don't
Yes.
have enough money, well, everyone's getting a pay cut.
Yeah.
It's that, let alone managing inflation. But for the average person that does not run their own business and works for somebody or works for government, which is unfortunately one of the largest employers, and it should be the other way around. Like, if we're going to generate wealth, the private sector needs to drive it.
100%.
Not
I do agree
public
with that.
sector.
Yes.
But so in any of those things, you're generally getting a raise, around inflation. So and then when your property taxes are going up 2 and 3 times inflation, like we've seen increases at like 5, 6, and 7%, that what's going to give? If you have someone on fixed income, especially speaking with a lot of seniors that have fixed incomes, so they make this pot of money, but if every year their property taxes are going up a lot more than what they're making, well, we're going to be pushing people out of their homes because it's just becoming too expensive. A great example was a letter, I can't remember the name of the resident. She was a senior and just said, what was it? 10 years ago, I only had to give you, 2.5 of my pension checks. Well, now I have to give you 5. If I give you much more than that, I'm not going to have enough money to eat. Please stop raising my taxes. So that was a letter that came into all of us.
It's heartbreaking.
And that's where the rubber hits the road, because it's really easy when you're at the council chamber and there's different people in. So we need to increase the spending. We need to increase this. This is going to make the community safer and better. And we need more bricks and mortar. We need more buildings. Like the recent one was the increase in the capital ask for the police to 1.1 billion.
Yes.
But a few years ago, I don't know if it was 4 years ago, but within a recent number of years, their capital plan was only a couple $100 million. And it's like, we all want to support, everyone wants to support the paramedics, wants to support the police, wants to support the fire. And I all about public safety, that's super important to me. I want to support all those things. But when you do things in isolation outside of the budget, I think it's really high risk. Because if you pre-approve all these spending increases, then you get to the budget and then the taxes are, now it's going to be a 10% increase per year for the next 10 years. Like, that's what staff were projecting as possible. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but the fact that it's even possible, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge problem. 10% compounded over 10 years, that's a 159% increase.
You may never be able to pay that back, and then you're in a much trickier situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is where, until we know what the impact is on the taxes, we shouldn't be pre-approving all these spending. So this was where, and this all happened in the last few weeks, where at the finance committee, we were great. So we were like, refer everything. So again, we're going to find a way to fund the police 100%.
Yeah, that's good.
Always do that.
We definitely need. Yeah.
But I don't want to lock into a plan that's guaranteeing us a 10% tax increase. And that's why you have to look at the budget as at a macro level as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, if you make enough as an individual homeowner, you make enough individual decisions on the day or the month. Oh, that's great. We're going to do this. Oh, we're going to go on another trip. Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We're going to buy a new car. We're going to put in, we're going to fix the backyard. But then on the year, you're spending way more money than you're making, and you run out of your ability to borrow. That's a big problem. You need to make all these decisions on a totality. So that's where again. So I support what they're going to get, but I think it all has to be related to the budget, because that's where the rubber hits the road.
Absolutely, yes. Like maybe less fancy doors and
well, this is just it, because you've got $1 million doors. You have got another example, $500,000 trip to Germany where 5 or 6 mayors and like 30 some staff went. $500,000.
I feel like you can do that for less than 15.
Yeah, $500,000 for a 5-day conference for $100,000 a day. And even when we were asking in council, part of the question was, well, why were they going there? And they said, well, they had a really big booth, so they had to man the big booth. And I guess you got to get a big booth, but don't get a big booth.
No, maybe, yeah.
Don't send 30 plus people. I haven't seen any deals signed. We're not raining down an investment from Germany.
Yeah.
It's just there might be a Lederhosen store opening up maybe, but it's like
interesting.
It's like it just doesn't make any sense. And this is where the challenge of the common sense, and that's where I fought for 7 months to bring in a auditor general.
Okay.
And it was a huge hurdle because so many people were against that, that were fighting against that. Like pretty much almost all the mayors and the staff and a bunch of the councillors were like, we don't need an auditor general. Because they were equating, well, if we criticize the process, we're criticizing staff. And I'm like, no, that's not true.
Okay.
We are looking for external oversight.
Yeah.
To have another lens and another view externally to find out what's going on. Like look at the City of Toronto. They have an auditor general, which we've modeled it after, and they've found savings, of, I think it was, what was it about? It was about $300 million over 5 years, like tens of millions of dollars a year. Now they have a much bigger budget.
Yeah.
They're about 10 times our size. They're about 20 billion to our 2 billion and change. But the fact is they are finding efficiencies and reviewing different things. Like they've, looking at some of the Auditor General reports, they have found that, government's been paying invoices for work that's already done.
Oh, geez.
Things are being approved by somebody who retired years ago.
Right.
Like, so there's different processes and things that are failing, and it's only been through reviews of the Auditor General just diving deep into those details that's removed from staff and only reports to council to give you that third-party view to find those challenges. And that, so they've agreed it in principle, which was great. Took a lot of things. We had, I appreciate, Mayor Ash came around right at the end.
Okay,
and
nice.
Helped push it through, which is great because I know he's a big tax fighter.
Oh, good.
But and then we helped push that through at the end. But these are the things we need. Like these are the stuff we need at Whitby as well. So again, I tried to bring a motion with Councillor Yamata at Whitby to try and get an auditor general process for even to review. Look at how we can start this process. Let's have a report. And of course, that was voted down by the mayor and members of council. Like there's just this never-ending push to. We don't need more oversight. I think we need a lot of oversight, and the best disinfectant to me is sunlight.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I feel like it should be mandatory. Like I'm a big fan of what the US did with Doge, maybe not by execution and kind of like the chainsaw and stuff, but in philosophy and like in practicality, like magnifying glass on everything and finding things that are like this person's not alive anymore, and like
now it's in Toronto. I doubt that happens out here, but it's just an example of. You want that oversight. And essentially, you're having a line to call in so that anyone that sees concerns, they can call in. And they can call that number and it says, again, it looks like there's a lot of waste. Why do they keep replacing this tree? Why do they keep ripping up this road? Why do they keep doing that? And then there could be a good explanation for all of it. But we should have a mechanism for people to report their concerns, for it to be reviewed independently so that we have that independent oversight.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's okay. The budget's been approved. Here's the budget. There is an often drive to saying, "Well, we got to spend the budget because we won't get it next year if we don't get the budget." Which is, it's an bureaucratic inertia to continue to spend and spend and spend and spend.
Absolutely.
And we need to find ways to fight that.
Yes.
Like simple things go back to the $1 million door. One day in 2017, it was a really cold day, and the sliding doors were open, and a pipe burst. Because it was cold. Okay, and that's what caused it to get into the Capitol.
That's
Maybe
fair.
we should replace that. But why do we have to replace the door? Why didn't we look at, well, let's redo the floor where the pipes are and put in a heated cement floor? It's not going to cost $1 million. Why didn't we put in an air envelope? Why, you go in and out of the grocery store, you go in again in the airport, whatever. There's just, you put into air envelopes, it's blowing air in the winter, creates a barrier, keeps the cold air out, warm air in. It's not going to cost $1 million.
Yes.
Why are we not looking at alternative solutions that are achieve the objective?
Right.
Instead of, no, we're just going to replace the door. And don't worry about it. We're going to get a grant from the federal government. So that's going to help pair because there was a potential grant to improve the air envelope for the building. But you know what? My left pocket might pay for the property taxes, but my right pocket pays federal taxes. So
Yeah,
there's only one
anyways.
taxpayer.
Yeah.
And I don't care how you justify it.
Right.
You're still spending my taxpayer money. And that could have been used for something else.
100%.
Could have been used to windows or to other doors or other things that were broken instead of the $1 million door. So I encourage you to walk through it.
Yeah.
And anyone to go through, and you tell me if you think it's worth $1 million.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, and a great metaphor in my mind too is along driving up to Peterborough. There's a few pieces of road, and it's also on the 407 driving towards Markham.
Yeah.
There's pieces of pavement that have the long thin lines, and people know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
And
The paint tester.
Yeah, and it makes like a sound when you're driving on it. And I had to look this up because I had no idea. Like, why is some cement like thin lines like that? And it's so that it lasts longer. It's a little bit better at like cracking and things like that, which is obvious. But it costs a little bit more. Okay, but then you don't need to. If you put down like your typical cement, you're repairing it almost every year, or every second year, or 2, 3. Whereas this is going to last like 5 times as long. It may cost twice as much, but there are savings there. And so, I'm a big fan of that. Like, privatization is like the answer for many things, not everything.
Not everything.
Many things, though,
many
like
things.
getting 3 quotes on a door and maybe looking at 3 solutions.
Well, it's that's not even it, because I'm not here to criticize anybody.
Sure.
They followed the process. There were multiple procurement, people bid on the door, and the lowest bid was picked.
Amazing. Yeah.
But we have to look at the process. The process is that you're only even allowed to apply to be on that door if you are basically an approved vendor. So if the barrier is how do you get onto the approved vendor list, well, then that's what we need to tackle. Because maybe I should have 50 people on that approved vendor list that can do a door instead of just a couple. And maybe that is what will drive lower costs, because again, in the private sector, you just ask anybody. You don't need to say, have you done another municipal job, and can you be validated by another municipality to get on the vendor list? And like, I'm simplifying the process.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're doing all that, but if we could get that to 50, there might be some more innovative people that are out there, and that they could do it at a lower price. Now, I've over the years, when you talk about procurement processes, is mandated by the province and by regulation. So there's all these different things. But maybe we need to use our lobbying power to lobby the province to change those rules if it's provincially regulated, and then stretch that as much as possible. How do we get more people to be qualified vendors so they can bid on more doors. They can bid on more roads. They can bid on more things, so that we as taxpayers can see more value. So they are following the registered process, and it is with people that have municipal experience, and it is with people that have basically they've been vouched for by somebody else.
Yes.
But we might be missing out on 100 companies that could also be doing that, because they're either too small or they just don't focus on the municipal sector,
right,
and aren't accredited or aren't vouched for by other municipalities, so they can't even be bothered to bid.
Right. Yeah.
So this is part of the issue with the procurement process. So
right,
in the bid to protect people, we might be driving up our costs because we're excluding a lot of vendors that might be able to do the job.
True. And there's so many local heroes, entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And like, a strong community is what allows to pay for like lowering taxes or giving more opportunities. Honestly, buying this commercial unit at Sunray and Consumers was like the single best investment I could have ever done. I utilized a 10% down first commercial purchase. You do need to have a corporation, right? Be incorporated with 2 semi-healthy financial years. But then you can qualify for putting down as little as 10% as opposed to 30 or 35. So that significantly reduced the cost of buying this. But these are so impossible to find. These like small units that are about between 1 or 3,000 square feet. Perfect though for small businesses, solopreneurs, or very small companies. And I feel like that's my biggest thing of like, and we employ multiple people, and that just helps the community grow too.
Of course. Having
more of these and more unique offerings of allowing people to be strong, and not, taking too much from them and leaving them with scraps, right?
Well, and that's the challenge too, because you see a lot of businesses that open, and you always hope and pray that they're successful. But sometimes you walk in and you're like, ooh, they're going to have a hard time being successful here. And we see them come and go. You go to so many business openings and your heart breaks for people that, put their blood, sweat, and tears in, and then they're not there a couple years later. So it's, you want to find out ways that how do we support these businesses and people that are taking that leap of faith and investing in our community, investing in themselves, and helping them to be more successful. And just making sure, like, there's just so many ice cream shops have opened up in town that I've been to.
Nice.
But you can just see, like, again, my MBA background and business background, stuff like that, you can just know that, well, I know your transaction is really small and you have a very large space and you have large fixed expenses. Your volume is going to need to be absolutely massive to support this cost. And you haven't really set, you can see sometimes you haven't set yourself up for success because you've locked in on the fixed costs too high for a product that you sell for too little.
Yeah.
And you just, and again, I want them to be successful. I hope they'll be successful. 100%. But sometimes you can just walk in and you just say, oh, they're going to have a really hard time here.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And what can we do to just say, if you are going to go into business, and make sure you have a business plan and get some advice from people that are in that space, so you realize that, because really for something like an ice cream shop, and we'll just keep it simple, is you want a very, very, very small footprint, because you're actually going to be selling mostly, May to September for only part of the year. You want your costs to be as low as possible, and you want to have as many transactions as possible when you're doing it later, so that you can generate money, and then you can basically shut down in the summer, and then you can be successful. You literally want the side of a building with less than 100 square feet, selling ice cream, keep your costs down, because you're just that. It's just different things like that, and then and different things like I want all the businesses to be successful.
100%.
I want them to thrive.
Yes.
We have challenges in, again, downtown Whitby for the same thing. Like if you look at the businesses that were there 5 years ago, and a lot of them aren't, because we don't have enough traffic. We don't have enough bodies. We don't have enough people down there. And council has tried to work and overcome that. Our last term of council, we worked on getting the fire station number 3, the old fire hall site, getting that renovating, working with a developer to get that done. But even that was very difficult, because we had multiple developers say they were interested, and then once they did the financials, they were out.
That's a big problem now with developers in general. Costs of materials and everything, inflation and tariffs,
and all of these costs. Whereas what you do, successful downtowns that thrive are ones that are full of people.
Yes.
And we need to increase that density in some way, shape, or form, without going too crazy, because it is our historic downtown. We want to keep it at a 6-story max. But we have to find a way to create more incentives and get those developments in there, because if you can bring in more 6-story towers that are going to put in, 100 units plus, that's going to be, 150 people plus that are going to be in walking distance of all these businesses downtown. And they're going to, every building that brings in another 150 plus people, that's going to be supporting more of those businesses, more economic generation. So it's easier for them to be successful, and it spirals in a positive way that helps expand your downtown, grow your downtown, and make it more successful. So those are another key focus that we have to make to focus on. That's going to be more.
Speaking of downtown Whitby, there's a couple of visions in place that are kind of up in the air. Maybe there's something more solid that how it could be transformed. I think all the way from leaving it as it is to making it only a walking space, right? Right. And maybe even there's a bus line going through it too and stuff. What's the latest, do you think, on that, and what do you think would be best?
So it's all kinds of different ways. Like, to me, it's less about the form and more about the density and getting people in there, because that is how you have a thriving downtown. It's with the people. And the people want, if you make it nice and they live nearby, they're going to want to support it. If they want to support it and they're going to the good shops, then other people are going to come. Like, again, it's that cascading positive reinforcement. And we need to find ways to get more density and more people in the downtown way, but still respecting the historic center. Because that's what will make it successful. I know a lot of the downtown businesses in the BIA and other areas, there's always concern about parking, and we need more parking, and the parking's the issue. But the data doesn't show that parking truly is the issue, because let's look when you go downtown Toronto. You just expect that to be very expensive and difficult to get parking, and a long time to get there. But whatever your destination is, whether you're going to a concert, a restaurant, to do whatever it is, whatever destination, parking is never the reason. You're going there because that is the great restaurant. You're going there because that's where the concert is. You're going there because that's where things. The parking is secondary. So we want to find ways to support people with parking, but you also can't do things like, it's difficult to make it free in the whole area. We have done studies multiple times where, on the downtown strips, like on Brock and Highway 2, where we've, at Brock and Dundas, we've made the on-street parking free. Great. Okay, your parking's the issue. We're going to make it free. But then our data shows the people that use the free parking lot are a lot of the staff. So if the staff get free parking, then the customers can't come in and they're not going to the different businesses. So there is a reason why you have on-street parking is more expensive. So that's a valuable piece of real estate, so that the people are incented to stay there less, so that there's a more throughput, because the customers that are coming to the store are not going to stay there as long. They're in and out faster, which drives it to the business. And what council's recently done, which is great, is we're using like the Perry Street lot and the other lot, like lots that are further away, making them 4 hours free, which is a great way to try and incent the staff and other people that are going to be there for long term to stay away from the parking that's beside the businesses, so it's more readily available for customers.
Yes.
And so that there's less of a reason, I want to come to your shop, but it's really hard to find parking. So that if there's just always spots available on the street in front of the businesses, it's great. They just dive in, they go and support the businesses. So this is trying to be a creative way that respects the parking concerns of the businesses, providing them a solution, putting them in the parking lots that aren't used as much. We're trying a pilot for free. I think it started today. And trying to find creative ways to support. So that's which is a great idea. And another one, so that was from the councillor. Another thing for me is a lot of businesses that they're buying for all day parking, and but then they drive away to go pick something up, and then they come back and then there's no more parking spots, but they've already paid for the day. So right now, if they go to another lot, they have to pay for the day again. So again, we've asked staff, can we make these simple things? Can we make this transferable? So if I've paid for a day, it doesn't matter what lot I'm in. And can we put in loading permits for some of the businesses that don't have a rear loading area, so that they can just load their businesses and not constantly being ticketed? So what are ways that we can use policy to support the downtown businesses to help make them more successful and take away their pain points? So those are some of the things we've been working on.
That's great. I love it. Like common sense, creativity. It's almost like a video game. How can we make this more efficient?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Like, even with parking lots in general, I hope that the potential future promise of, I know it's it could trigger people and be a keyword, but like self-driving cars may be an interesting avenue, and maybe not in this decade or the next, but eventually probably.
Well, we tried the self-driving bus until it crashed.
Yeah, that's not good. But yeah, like the potential promise of like, hopping on something and it costs only a few dollars, and it'll be cheaper than owning a vehicle then, between gas and ownership, whether you lease or finance. And then parking lots become parks then, technically, or just more development. And there's still going to be people that own cars 100% always, and there needs to be.
Yeah, so the theory's sound.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's probably... I love the creativity with everything else.
Yeah.
Like 2 different parking zones, just make it combined if they pay for full.
Yeah.
I love that. Like that's great.
How do we do simple ways that let's tackle the problem. What's the problem? I keep paying for multiple things for parking. Well, just make the parking ticket transferable.
Yeah.
Well, who cares if they're having to park in lot 5 versus lot 8? Who cares? The town's already got their money. There is a spot that's available. Just don't charge the business owner again.
Yeah.
They have enough costs, and they're just trying to run their business, and they have to run out and go buy more coffee or buy more supplies or buy whatever it is, they need to support their business. So, and those are solutions that we can do.
100%. So with an hour in, I think you've done a phenomenal job convincing that you've got the right background, MBA, the finance background, and the common sense, and just for the people. Lower taxes sound great, and you get better things, and
absolutely
big magnifying glass on things like doors that don't work or are not working as intended, and maybe putting that towards something else, being honest, saying that I will use mayor powers.
Absolutely.
Like no surprises, right? That's incredible. Love it. Strong leader potential, right? And Let's talk a little bit about some
Sure.
things like.
Oh yeah, it's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
So what are some, obviously some glaring past conflicts that have happened? There's also some like new rules that are coming to light as well too, potentially. I don't know everything fully, but I just know a little bit.
So it's been it's been a fascinating ride since we've had I like to say a new coach in the chair since Mayor Roy has been there, and definitely some challenges that we've seen. And under her leadership that we've seen. And everyone's allowed to have a different point of view. Like ultimately every member of council is elected to represent their view and do the best thing to represent the people and move the business of the town forward, which is great. But yeah, we've definitely seen some conflicts in the past. And again, it really comes down to leadership styles and things that, and then it's really up for the people to judge. So, not everybody wants everyone. Can't you all just get along? Well, that's fine, but it takes everybody to be kind. It takes everybody to be respectful, and on that. And really, where things I feel really went off the rails was back when when Councillor Yamata was going to be the deputy mayor, and the previous process for choosing the deputy mayor was based on vote total for regional councils. So you put the regional councillors, which are the more senior members of council, they generally have more experience. They're the deputy mayor, and we all took turns. There was four spots, and you got to do it once a year. Year one was the person who had the lowest vote totals. Year two was the second lowest. Year three was the second highest, and year four was the highest. So that was all. It was set out in our procedural bylaw. Everything is set out on that. That was fine. We all got elected. And then Councillor Malkahi was the deputy mayor for 6 weeks because of the way the timing of the year, because the calendar starts November 15th. Then it was Councillor Shahid. And when they're both deputy mayor, people refer them to the title. They're allowed to sit in the seat. They have the nameplate, and they're treated for that role. And then that whole year happened when Councillor Shahid had her turn, and that was fine. But then December came around, and when it was time for Councillor Yamata's turn, and January 1st, that's when Mayor Roy had the meeting and just says, I'm using strong mayor powers to make sure you're not going to be the deputy mayor. And we're like, okay, well, he was elected. This process has existed for decades. It's already been determined by the people. And I don't mind you changing it, but why didn't you change it for next term? What is so crucial that you have to change it now? And this is where I was involved, and I said, okay, we got the memos. Okay, internal lawyers said that, with strong mayor powers, she should be able to change that. And then I pushed, and I said, well, can we get an external opinion? Same reason why we need an auditor general. Can we get someone that's a little outside of the environment to give us a perspective to make sure we're not missing anything? So same kind of philosophy. So I insist, and I said, you guys pick the lawyer. You can pick any lawyer. Just please pick a lawyer that's not here, and you pay for it. It's fine. So they did that. They used John Mascaron from Meriden Bearless, who is a municipal lawyer expert, and he says, absolutely not. You can't do that. You can change those rules tomorrow. Council sets its own rules, however they want the rules at any time. But the rules say that no, strong mayor powers don't touch the deputy mayor. That's a different section of the Municipal Act. Completely unrelated.
Interesting.
But then what happened? And this is the beautiful thing about this, because this is all on video. Every word we say at council is video evidence, for good or for ill. If I make a mistake, it's permanent. Permanently out there on every social media post. So you have to be very cautious. And I think I generally am. But we go back to that. And so what happened in January 1st of that year is, was it January, 2024? So that Steve was technically the deputy mayor, but he wasn't allowed to sit in the seat. He wasn't allowed to have the nameplate. Everyone was instructed not to call him by his title, and he was removed from all committees. So this was a bit intolerable. So I was trying to push back in the background. Like I was saying, he really should be in the seat. We should have the nameplate. Why aren't people addressing him? And everyone was tiptoeing around it because the mayor was really determined that this was important to her. And I'm just like, but that's not what the rules say. So that went on. And then in June, and then she also didn't have the votes in January to change the rules. So that was January. Then June comes along, so that we're muddling along where no one's really addressing him properly. And then June. So finally, the mayor had the votes to change the rules. So in June of that year, she had the vote. Okay, we're going to change the rules, and the new rules are going to be the mayor picks the deputy mayor, and it's ratified by council. And of course, I didn't agree with that. But that went, and of course, Councillor Yamata, which sometimes happened when people. So the meeting that he was about to be fired was the only meeting he got to sit in the chair and had his nameplate. So again, this is all video evidence. Like I'm not making any of this stuff up.
Wow.
And this was when that came up. And so he resigned 5 minutes before he was about to be fired from that role. So, and I understand why. Of course. I don't think he should have just not resigned. But he's my really close friend, and that's what is good. So we did that. And then in the fall, when all the summer went by, in the fall when they picked the new deputy mayor, Councillor Longquist, who said she never wanted to be deputy mayor, but they picked her. And then that's when I rose on a point of privilege to just saying, we as a group, as a council, need to do a better job. Like we have 5 months of video evidence how we were mistreating Councillor Yamata, and we shouldn't treat anybody like that. So I just said, so it was, and again, we've done all this kind of training, so I'm trying to use the right word. So I said they were using microaggressions. So it's not overt, it's not direct, sometimes it's even indirect, sometimes it's unconscious. But that were just there were definitely some microaggressions against Councillor Yamata through that whole process, and we had video evidence. So the 118 times a resident actually went through 5 months of those meetings, because I certainly don't have the time and listed all of the times that he wasn't addressed, how he was called. Like sometimes he was even just called Steve, wasn't even called Councillor. And so all this stuff was listed by a resident, and basically just said, please treat each other with respect. Stop treating people like that. Really, it's a simple message. And just apologize to Councillor Yamata. I'm sure he'll accept it and move on. So I raised it on October 7th, 2024. I remember the dates well. And that's when everything kind of exploded, because then the mayors and all these different, you're calling us racist. This is terrible. You're just as awful. That's not true. None of this is true. I'm like, we have 5 months of video evidence. Everything we do, every word is permanently on the record. So to say that was not, and then on October 9th, and I also remember that day because that's my birthday, when we reconvened the meeting. So that meeting was reconvened on October 9th, and then we finished all the piece. Councillor Yamata said his piece. He agreed with me that he was treated differently, and all he asked was that nobody treat anybody else in the future like he was treated.
It's pretty reasonable.
Pretty reasonable approach. But then what did the mayor and members of council do? Well, they filed integrity commissioners' complaints against Councillor Yamata and I, and said, we're terrible. We're calling them all racist, and which that word was never used. And microaggressions actually are a thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of all went downhill from there, because they were just so aggressive on that particular piece. And they brought in the integrity commissioner, who I think they've been fired by 10 municipalities for bias and other different things.
It's not a great track record.
So anyway, so that's our current, and so they ruled on Councillor Yamata and I, and they said, we're going to ignore all the evidence and exactly how Councillor Yamata was treated. All we're going to do is zoom in. Should you have brought up how another member of council was treated at a council meeting in the same format that he was treated? And they're saying, no, you shouldn't have. And I'm like, I disagree, obviously. I accept the council decision, but we went through that exercise, and they said, well, we're not going to debate the veracity of all the claims about how Councillor Yamata was treated. And but we're just going to say, but what you did was terribly wrong. You shouldn't have brought it up. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm trained. If you see something, say something. If something's wrong, point it out. There should be no safer place in this town to talk about things than the council chamber. Absolutely none. And yet, the message we were getting was, no, you can't talk about that. You can't even bring out how people are treating other people in the chamber. I think that's absolutely insane. And I think that's a bit of a failure of leadership, in my opinion, because you should be able to do that. Like, we could just agree, like, just apologize. No one is saying that people should be treated differently. So why were they treated differently? So just apologize. So they wouldn't do that. So Councillor Yamata and I lost a week's pay from the integrity commissioner. But again, it's a badge of honor. Like, I'm sorry. You should be able to talk about these issues at any time. And if you're in public office, you should be able to be okay to talk about it. And if there's video evidence and everything is factually true, the integrity commissioner said absolutely everything I said was true. The issue was the manner and then I went and do it. But then I think that's debatable. I think we should be able to bring up things as we see them in the moment.
Right.
And raise it when we feel we're comfortable to raise it. And then the story, and then it continues, right? So that went on. I also pointed out, because again, in the heat of the moment on the 7th, they all said, everyone in the back room, we need to basically have a meeting. And I'm like, we're not allowed to have meetings in the back room.
Oh.
It's actually against the municipal act to have private meetings. So we're like, okay, you're calling everyone in the back room to have a bit of a meeting here. Like, if you can define what a meeting is to me, and you say, okay, everybody, we need to go into another room where no one can see us so we can discuss what happened. Some people might call that a meeting. So I did an investigation. There's so many aspects to this. And then, so I said, I'm not going in there. And then what did I do that night? I filed for a closed meeting investigation. You're not supposed to be doing that. Everything we do at the municipal level should be transparent, should be open, should be on video, and should be available for the public to participate and see. So that's a fundamental thing. So I did that. They did a closed meeting investigation. They said, no, there wasn't really a meeting. People just chimed in.
Interesting.
No, I'm being serious. Again, read the report. They chimed in. So they used bells to make chime sounds, not their mouths, to communicate with each other. Like, I'm not a comedian. I can't make this stuff up. So they chimed in. So it's not an illegal investigation. But what's even better, and again, I like saving taxpayers' money, and I'm looking out and I said, okay, it cost, I can't even remember how much it cost. It was like 10 or 20 grand for this closed meeting investigation. And then I'm saying, why are we using an external lawyer for a closed meeting investigation when there's a free option from the Ombudsman, costs nothing? So then what did I do? Of course, I passed the motion. Cancel the contracts with lawyers that are costing us tens of thousands of dollars for closed meeting investigation. Use the Ombudsman, which is free. And so then they're like, so they're saying, oh yeah, so we spent money on closed meeting investigations. Well, Mayor Roy was on council and voted 20 years ago to make sure they made a more expensive option for closed meting investigations. It's just, like, again, I can't make this stuff up. The facts show that. And then, so that's that piece. And then we go on to, and then that continues. You have our, so again, I still think it's ridiculous that we just asked for an apology and that Steve and I lost a week's pay. And so that part's going on. And then, so the only remedy after that was to do the human rights complaint. So Councillor Yamata and I have, like, he's asking for $2, I'm asking for $1. So my paperwork is wrong, it says more, but I've amended it down to $1. So it's $2 and $1, an apology for basically how he's been treated. And everyone says he was treated poorly and he shouldn't be treated that way. Everyone agrees on it.
Yeah.
But the town so far has spent, $55,000 so far fighting our $1 and $2 human rights complaints, where we want $1 and $2 and an apology.
Oh my!
And that continues. And this is the thing. So, like, just ridiculous. Like, if I'm mayor, if I'm the next leader of our community, and there's going to be an issue with people, I don't care what the issue is. We're not going to spend $90,000 on a workplace investigation report that actually just confirms our complaint was made in good faith. Everything we said is true. Don't treat people like that in the future. I'm going to be spending $9 on a cup of coffee and make sure I have to speak to the person. And if it takes multiple meetings, I will spend multiple cups of coffee. Like, this is the leadership style we need. We should not be weaponizing processes to go after other people. Right. Yes. And
we know how that, look at all the weaponization that happened with, some famous names.
Oh yeah. Like, it's just, and it is only, what is the benefit and the point of democracy? We should be debating, talking our positions, defending our positions with great zeal, going to a vote, win or lose, go to the next issue. Yeah. Like, this is how government should work. This is how we should work with each other. Right. It's not about personalities. I don't need more friends. I got lots of friends. I got lots of family. I'm not there to make friends when I'm sitting on a council. What you say is not going to hurt my feelings. I'm okay. I've lived this whole life, and it's okay if you disagree on my issue. But let's talk about the issue. Yes. Not about the person. Make a decision and move on, and do it with kindness and grace and poise. Like, and again, that's why, I really appreciate my wife's perspective. She's just saying, you have to make a difference. You have to run to make this change, because you just can't have this environment right there with the coach that's in the leadership right now. It's the wrong coach. It's the wrong approach for leadership. Liz is a lovely lady. It's the complete wrong approach. And we haven't even talked about the issues we're having with a lexicon, other different things, financing, debt. Like there are all kinds of issues that we need to address because we need to make sure that the town is run properly.
Yes.
We need to do it in a way that's respectful and kind to all. We need to do it so that we're not raising taxes, so we continue to not be the most expensive property taxes in the GTA while still providing the same services. We need to do things differently. And that's going to come doing infrastructure differently, spending down reserves. Okay to borrow money. We barely borrowed any money. It's okay for government to borrow money. Because if I borrow money, that means I need to charge you less tax because I'm going to pay for the infrastructure over the life of the asset instead of writing cash checks.
Oh, interesting. That's definitely a good use of borrowing. Yeah, that's a good point. Huh. Wow. So that was just amazing. I hope that people listening in have that you've swayed people in the middle. I got to be a little careful with what I say because I may lose photography jobs.
No. Hey, we're in campaign mode. I am fully, and again, all these different things. This is the story. This is my story, my journey. Yeah. How we're doing things. How my passionate drive. Why I love this town so much, and why I think I can do a better job. And that's why I'm running. And that's why we're knocking every day and talking to people. And if they feel that the cost of living is too high? Do they feel they're being squeezed on the taxes? Are they okay with all these capital plans at the region that might drive taxes up to 10% per year for up to 10 years in a row? Over my dead body. That's my response. Because that's my approach. Like, we can't be everything to everyone. Yeah. It'd be nice.
Yeah, of course.
But there's only one taxpayer. They have limited resources, and I don't want to tax people out of their homes. So we're going to have to make some tough choices. Yes. We're going to have to make longer to build some things. Like, look, example, this amazing new sports complex that we built up on Baldwin. It's great. Sure. Been talking about it since I got on council in 2014.
Wow.
It's taken 12 years. It was supposed to open last year. Hopefully it opens this month. Maybe next month. They're very close. As with all large projects, there's often issues. But again, another example of what I don't like of how the town decisions are going is we're about to open this new center, and then we get a report from staff, and staff say, "Oh, now we have too much sports facility space, so we want to mothball the McKinney Sports Complex for 50% of the time." And I was just like, we just spent $140+ million to expand our sports facility, and you're saying we need to mothball the McKinney Center 50% of the time? The McKinney Center actually has specialized ice pad just for figure skating.
That's amazing.
It's the only one in town.
Wow.
And now they're saying, nope, we're only going to start it at 3 p.m. instead of 9 a.m. So we're going to impact that programming. And we're going to do it by not talking to people. We're not going to ask any of the stakeholders what their input is first. We're just going to make the decision and then let them know.
That doesn't seem right.
It's, again, fundamentally down to how I like to govern and how I like leadership. We should be making decisions in consultation with people. I love delegates. I love having delegates come into the community. I want to hear from people all the time. When you spoke at the very beginning of our interview talking about engagement, that's another key priority for me is how do we engage more people to come and speak to council? Like, this is your council. This is how your communities run. More people should come and speak about that. And this is another example. Again, Councillor Yamata and I were like, no, absolutely not. Let's do some consultation first. We're only saving like $100,000 and change by shutting it down half the thing. It was like one full-time equivalent and a 1.5. And you're just like, so we're going to shut down a whole facility because we have too much facility? Not only that, that one is on the bus route and around houses, and more people can bike to it and get to it. It's got a youth room that's open and all these different things. Now you're going to have to make them go up Baldwin near the 407 to the new facility.
Slightly dangerous.
And it's in more driving.
Yeah.
Aren't we trying to make things so people don't have to drive as much? So the answer is we're going to shut down this facility so people have less access, so there'll be more driving. And we're barely saving any money.
Right.
It's like McKinney, what's that? What would that be replacement cost? Like 40, 50 million plus?
Oh, that's too bad. I grew up at McKinney. I used to skateboard there, part of the leadership camp and the youth center. Used to go there all the time.
Like, why are we shutting stuff down after we build things? Like, why is this not part of the planning process?
We need more things.
Yes.
Even. May as well, keep it.
And why don't we try a business case to find out, okay, we have this, maybe there is excess capacity. Okay. Maybe we can fill it. Maybe we can what if we discounted the use of this facility, or we already have discounted ice during the day, but let's discount the ice even more. Let's bring in other programming there.
Right.
Let's work with the figure skating community and find out ways that they might actually want the programming before 3:00. Because I've talked to a few of them. Why are we doing things this way? So I understand, I accept, again, I have to be very careful. I accept the council decision.
Sure.
Of course. Publicly, it's official. I accept all their decisions all the time. I'm not here. I don't need more people to complain. I'm not respecting council. Because I 100% respect those decisions. What I'm saying is I want to do things differently. Like even back in June 2024 when they, or was it June 2025? I can't remember. When they wanted to change the election system.
Right.
So they wanted to go from regional councillors at large, which we do in Whitby. So basically,
yes,
right up until since 1974, a resident got to pick a mayor, their local councillor, and all the regional councillors.
Yes.
So they actually, the average person had the ability to influence 6 members of council because you can vote for 4 regional, your local, and your mayor. So that the people had the power because they influence 6. So whenever there's a decision, they can call 6 councillors. I have influence over you. I have vote over you. You need to listen to me. You're my things. So they just, on the last minute, on the fly on the floor, changed the election system rules. Nope, we're going to go to a ward system. And I'm like, well, shouldn't we talk to people about that and have a communication and bring people, delegates in? So Councillor Yamata and I reached out to some people, and they were there for multiple issues, but there were 23 delegates that wanted to speak to that issue at the meeting. And then council voted, no, we're not going to listen to them. We're just going to make the vote change anyways. And again, why are you not listening to them? I wish it was on video, the people that were leaving the meeting that were so enraged at people. Like, so I'm here, registered to speak. I want to speak. And you're saying I'm not even allowed to speak to the council about an issue that's changing the election system?
Wow.
You should have heard the comments coming out of those residents on the way out the door.
I bet.
Like that is how their town is being run. I completely, fundamentally disagree with that approach.
Yeah.
This is why I'm running.
Yeah.
We need more open and transparency. We should be having delegates all the time on any issue, anytime. It's their town. It's your town. That is who we should be listening to. It should be not done the way it's doing, in my opinion.
Yes.
I respect the way the council's run right now, and I appreciate everything. But fundamentally, that is not my leadership style. It's not my belief. It's not how I was raised. Not how I will run the town if I have the opportunity and the privilege to be the next mayor.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Well said. Well said. It's a hard follow-up, but I do have some questions.
Yeah, fire away.
What happens if you don't win the candidacy for mayor? Are you still a councillor or you're done?
No. You can only run. I wish you could run for 2 seats at once. Wouldn't that be great? I'm going to go here and I got a backup plan here and I can do it. No. There are no backup plans.
Of course, yeah.
So it's and then that's time. So you do. I've been there a long time, so I'll do my piece, and we'll make that decision if it happens. But I'll just go back to the private sector and find a way that I can leverage my 16 years of experience on top of my corporate experience and leverage that into some type of role. But that's not how I'm feeling. That's not how, when I'm talking to people, like they are really concerned about the costs. They are really concerned about part of the circus that's been going on the last few years. I know the mayor and friends are desperate to pin it on me, and I continue to challenge them to do so because I will be nothing but kind and respectful to others, and we can agree to disagree. But I challenge you to go on to any of my social media and find me attacking any of my fellow members of council. I don't, because I fully respect them. It'll be interesting. So there just seems to be a lot of things. There's multiple press releases from the mayor saying that I'm a problem on council. I can honestly say if I'm ever the mayor, I would never be criticizing another member of council because I think that reflects on your leadership style.
Yeah.
And that you should be finding ways to work together and build bridges and not say the problem is with somebody else.
Wow.
So that's my leadership style.
Yeah.
I've formally asked the mayor to remove some of these. I think press releases there are a little bit much, but no response, silence. which is is the leadership style, and that's okay. It's just not mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. That's so great. I got to be honest. I think you're episode number 24, and I was definitely, like this is probably our most climatic and like like I hope this reaches a lot of people.
Here's hoping.
Yeah,
and I encourage people, like, comment, challenge, say, tell me what you disagree with my position, and you can, and people will, and they'll say, oh, this isn't true, that isn't true. Well, look at the facts. Look at the story. Look at the Tim Kelly article that said that Councillor Yamata was treated differently and agreed with all the evidence. Yeah, like these are being verified by third-party articles. Like it's, like there's just. Listen to the different articles. Like we've had so much review of this stuff, and I wish we weren't talking about that.
Yeah,
but you asked.
Yeah,
about
that's
some
true.
of the challenges, so I wasn't going to bring it up. But I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to confront anything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One piece of reflection is it's a shame that like this is even a thing. Like
it is.
It's like so much effort and energy. Like from like one little thing that shouldn't have never happened.
Correct. Absolutely not. If you wanted to change the rules of who's your deputy mayor, do it next term.
Right.
Be
it's
transparent
almost like
about it.
An honorary system and being respectful amongst councillors. Like those are the things I'm feeling and reflecting as you've said this story.
Yeah, and I get it. And the mayor's position is that, well, I didn't have a good relationship with Councillor Yamata, so I didn't feel that he would be right to represent me if he wasn't in the role. But to me, that's irrelevant. That's who the people picked. And he is. You're allowed to disagree.
Interesting. Yeah.
But you're also allowed to be professional.
Yeah.
And do your different piece. Like these are professional people. Yeah, everyone gets heated at times, but that is a ridiculous reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally.
Like I accept that was the decision of council, but I think it's ridiculous. Like, look at how much time and energy is being wasted on this stuff. Like even the human rights thing, it's ridiculous. But they took away our pay and are not apologizing, and they spent $90,000 on a workplace investigation saying that our complaints were legitimate.
That's pretty brutal to do to you guys. Councillor Yamata has been nothing but kind, and you as well. He came to Councillor Yamata came to our grand opening.
Oh, great.
7 years ago.
Oh, that's been that long.
Yeah, and it's just a darn shame that I don't even. I want to even just steer the conversation and do a little bit.
Of course. I'm a politician. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's a lot of good info for people to come up with their own conclusions.
Absolutely, and I encourage them to do so.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up. Where do you see Whitby in the next 10 years and in the future? What's your vision for it, and what would you like it to be?
Well, a big part of the vision is just having more economic development. Like we need more jobs in this town. Like we've been building a sea of houses since I was born. My parents moved here in 1979, and because it was a great place to raise a family. And it is, we've got 125, 30 plus parks. We've got all kinds of splash pads. We've got lots of hockey rinks, soccer fields, soccer domes. We have all these things to support building a family. Part of the thing that I feel is missing, some of the gaps that need to be addressed are the waterfront and economic development. And you look at the economic development, like we have all these lands along the 407 and 412. We need to build and have a more collaborative approach with the province to make sure that those lands are released. Yeah, like we're a little combative with the province, right? So you look at even just the Whitby Hospital announcement, which is really supportive. I've made my pledge. I'm going to continue to get other people to pledge to support financially and to bring that hospital to reality. Nice. But we've been so aggressive as a municipality against the province. When the province had the Whitby Hospital announcement, no one from Whitby was invited.
What?
Not a single person from Whitby.
Huh. That's odd.
Yeah, it is odd. I encourage your listeners to reach out and just question that. Why is that the case? Because we're so aggressive to the province. We are doing motions and press release. Like we had a contest where you could win iWatches and iPads and other different things to basically attack the province and saying we need our hospital faster now.
Oh, but right. I do remember seeing that.
But and that's fine. Advocacy is fine.
Sure.
But they were like, we're going to announce the hospital's coming to Whitby. just, you don't need the contest. So what do you do when you're constantly flooding people on those different things? Well, they might not appreciate that. And in my private sector experience, you don't attack the people writing the checks.
Yeah.
Whether it's your boss, whether it's your client, whether it's the province. Fully into advocacy. I want to advocate all the time. I am asking for the province's stuff all the time. But there's a process, there's a way, there's a nice thing to do it. But the loudest signal of how the province could make that they weren't happy with the town of Whitby approach, when we're the one hosting and advocating and trying to get the hospital, was to make sure no one from Whitby was invited to the hospital announcement. Again, my leadership style will be fundamentally different. I don't care who's in those seats. I don't care what party. We are going to work collaboratively, provincially, federally, anyway, and not disparage the government either. Like, we can ask for different pieces, but we don't need to be having contests to attack the government to try and get what we want. That is not the answer. And that's pretty evident because A, we weren't invited, and 24 months later, that file is not moved. So we need to have a different coach in the chair with a better leadership style that's going to work collaboratively with the province, with the feds, with whatever, with whoever, so that they're not going to even want to do that. Like, that's highly unusual.
Yes, absolutely. With the hospital and stuff, would you do something along? I have Sean Collier, Mayor Sean Collier, coming on.
Yeah, great.
2 fantastic terms.
Yeah.
I'm heavily involved with the production of the Ajax Mayor's Gala and
awesome.
the funds.
I didn't know that.
They've raised over $2 million in his 2 terms, I believe.
Yeah, they've done really, really well.
Yeah. Would you do something similar for?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, we have the Mayor's Gala. There is it's a scaled down version because it's election year. It's coming up. But yeah, I think we're missing an opportunity. Like, we look at Ajax, who doesn't have as much development as we do. We have way more massive development. You look at things like Stouffville, which they're pretty much built out, but their galas have been way more successful. Like, they've been able to raise a lot more funds and distribute it differently. So yeah, I really want to look at it differently. The costs for the galas have been very high.
Yes, that's true.
So if you look at, and I know there's lots of costs involved, and you do want to have a bit of a show, but fundamentally, what is the objective of the gala? It's to raise as much money as possible for charity. How do we adjust how that's done to make sure that we maximize that revenue? So so fundamentally, I think we can be bigger. I think we can bolder, and I think we can be a little sharper on the costs so that we can generate more profit. Like, that's a big important piece for me. I've run lots of galas over the years.
Nice. Right.
Lots of different organizations that I've involved with, whether it was in the private sector or in charities. And there are ways to do it more cost effectively. There are ways to make bigger dollars. And fundamentally, that'll be a huge priority. If I have the privilege of being the next mayor.
Nice, excellent. I go nearly in 1,000 homes a year as a real estate photographer.
Awesome.
And honestly, 90% of the atmosphere is people. This is across the Durham region and Clarington, Northumberland, GTA. Everyone, there's a theme of common sense, and there's a theme of, especially financially, common sense with government spending, and it is common. It is so. Like, I'm in the trenches with, like, hearing it from people and sellers, right? And it's real. And now it's just about getting those people out to make a difference. And the biggest thing that you can do to make your candidacy effective is getting voters out.
Yes, well, and that's ultimately like, we're out canvassing every day, we're knocking on doors every day, trying to talk to people and get that message. Like, that's an important message. Like, part of the things, and to go back to, like, community safety is important. Another really great successful thing that happened this spring, and it's really a sad origin story, was, we launched the petition to try and ask the Minister of Public Safety to reconsider the parole decision for Darren Scott Ray. So he was that high-risk offender that DRPS, in a rare move by the chief, to announce that we had a high-risk offender in the community, and which piqued my interest. And, I was the only person that actually applied for the parole board decision. Like, nobody else did. And that's where I got it back and saw that this, not only was he given the unescorted temporary absences, 72 hours, he was given multiple passes after that. He not only assaulted and murdered that child Darren Pepin, back in 1986. And when through our canvassing, we've run into 3 of the classmates of the victim who have been helping us with that petition. And then I also ran into, again, you're not going to believe it. I was up in, we were up in Brooklyn, and a landscaper walked by, and I didn't even bother him. He just wanted to know what we were doing.
Well, nice.
He saw the picture and he says, well, he's working. He says, I was in jail with this guy. This guy is not a great guy. How can I help you make sure that he stays in jail and is not in my community? Like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, it's just, here you have a person that had been in jail, spent his time, he was doing hard manual labor, doing his job, he's trying to turn his life around, and he's like, we got to make sure this person stays away from the community because of what he's done and how he treated children. He shouldn't be around here. And that's where the things that we've had, like we're close to 5,000 signatures. We'll be giving that to Minister Ananda Sangari and Scarborough, Minister of Public Safety, to get them to reconsider that parole decision. And it's unfortunate we have to do these things because generally when you get, originally it was like, life, not generally having parole after that. And then they're starting the parole process. So it's an interesting thing. So you can't even things that predict how these things come up. And like I was talking to you earlier, you don't necessarily know what the issue is going to be that the person you elect is going to have to face in the future. Yeah. The question comes down to, do you have the person that has the values that you are aligned with and agree with to try and make the best decision that would represent you? Because you just can't predict. No one could predict that he was coming out to our community. And that was just totally unpredictable. I had no idea. I was just, let's just look for the parole board decision. Because I'm a policy guy, and so that's what we do.
Right. That's so well said. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's why it's so important that who is it that you're putting in the seat? Are they aligned with your values? Will they represent you? Are they going to do this extra mile? Like, I don't need to be spending all this time of my time away from my family getting people to sign the signatures. And other people will say, well, that's a federal issue, and that's what's the point? You can't change the policy. But my view is always, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So we're going to take this shot. We're aiming to get to 5,000 signatures. Yeah. We're going to give that to the minister and put the pressure on, because the people have the power. Yeah. They need to exercise it. You exercise it through petitions. The most important way to exercise it, voting in your municipal election. But it's all of these activities where politicians listen to pressure. They listen to people. That's why I always like having delegates in the chamber when we're talking about issues, because they're the people that the councillors represent. That's who they're accountable to. That's who we work for. That's who we should be listening to all the time. Same thing goes federally. Same thing goes provincially. They need to hear from you. And when there's an issue, make sure you're heard. Raise your voice. Yeah. Advocate for change. And that's how we as elected officials can listen and say, yeah, let's make that change.
I have to emphasize the incredible respect you have for delegates and for the people. Like, every time we've had a topic discussion, you've always gone back to need to include the people in some capacity. That's a big deal. That's amazing. And then I wanted to emphasize one thing that you said that was actually quite enlightening, and I feel like it should be said again. Not voting for like the plans that people are going to do, but voting for the character of who you're voting for.
Absolutely.
That's in some ways I'm always thinking about, okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's your platform? But the reality is shit's going to hit the fan. Yes. And you want someone that can pivot and focus on those challenges that are going to be front and center when you need someone to be focusing on, sure, that was my platform, but this is more important right now, and we will get to that.
Yes. Yeah, so it's like you still, and it's a fine balance, right? Like you still want to stick to your platform because it's important to follow through, but there are things that are unpredictable in the future. Like, no one could have predicted all the tariffs coming from the U.S. Like, it was completely unpredictable, our closest ally in the world, upside down world. But, we react, we pivot, we manage, we do everything that we can. And yeah, the costs might go up, but the choices are made. Are we going to do that through higher taxes, or are we going to do that through adjusting our spending? Are we going to borrow more and pay back over a longer time so I'm not impacting people because they're getting impacted in too many other ways at the grocery store and at the gas pump and the other costs? So who do you want in that seat that's going to make that choice? So ideally, you want someone that's going to be listening. And again, I'm not saying that all the politicians listen. There's no question. But are they listening to the degree that you think is effective? And that's the question you come down. So yes, so absolutely. When I commit that I'm going to be doing tax freeze for 2 years, and never above inflation as long as I'm the mayor. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to find a way to do that. Like I have the background, I have the experience, I've been doing this long enough. It's totally achievable. All of these things are achievable, and that will happen. But for those other issues that come up and the unpredictability in the future is, who is the right person you think that can represent you? That's an important piece.
Yeah, well said, well said. Through your experience with your MBA, all the way from high school, in student council, your extensive experience with the Durham Catholic School Board, being pivotal in the shaping of Whitby as a councillor for 16 years, I believe you said.
Yeah.
Clearly a great track record. Absolute standout character for the people.
Thanks.
A couple light questions
Sure, fire
before
away.
we close.
Yeah, sure.
What's some of your favorite places in Whitby to visit? Give some shout outs to some places.
Yeah, there's so many great spots. Like there's, I love on a nice day going down with my wife and my mother-in-law. We were there recently, just going down to the pump house, having a great pizza and a beer from Town Brewery. So that part's great. And again, small connections. You've got like the Town Brewery people there. And then the pizza place is like a son of one of the former directors of the Catholic School Board that he runs that and has it all over. Like it's just connections everywhere.
Nice.
And other different things. So it's just, that's amazing. Other different places. I love going back and forth downtown Whitby from coffees between Jacked Up and Broxy Espresso. So it just depends on the day. Try to go both and support both the businesses. I love that we have that patio in front of Jacked Up. And the tacos just started last week. The taco truck's back. Highly recommend it.
Nice.
The jerk chicken is awesome. Highly recommend it. Really try and get that. Enjoy that summer. Be out on that patio. Support these local business owners. Some of my favorite restaurants in town is, if you get the chance, have you been to the Springwood?
Not yet. I've heard of it though.
It is amazing. Like these, Jasmine and Matthew there, ex-Canoe alum from Toronto. The food is phenomenal. Awesome. And all locally focused, and it's a great experience every time. They're just creative in everything that they do. Even when they do their gift cards, it's on old-fashioned photos, family photos. Like there's all these just little touches that are just so unique that is only done well by a locally owned business. So they're amazing. Like, I also love going to Atavola up which is right a block from my house on Meadow Glen Plaza. Again, Mediterranean style fish and pasta and stuff. The food's there amazing. And love to go to Bellinate. Like there's all these different restaurants my wife and I are always hopping around to.
Yeah.
And so some of those places are absolutely amazing. And I encourage
your town
people
well.
to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you live somewhere your whole life. So I guess, since I've been here, since I've been in diapers. So it's, and then my own kids growing up, like my oldest is off to Trent Peterborough, and my son's off to Laurier, which is great because I went to Laurier, so go Golden Hawks. But it's which is exciting to see. So you see your own children going out of the nest and going off to university and expanding their horizons and hopefully having a good time. So other places around town, like there's just so many great businesses. You hate to miss too many of them, but you're looking for a good pizza. Like sometimes we'll go out to, Pizza Rock is really great. We go to Hot Rocks as well. They got the nice stone oven pizza. We go to KB. We go to the Brock House. Like there's just so many different. One thing we're really blessed in Whitby is we have a lot of great locally owned, talented restaurants. And,
this is true.
And I even will bug my friends from Oshawa and Pickering and Ajax because it's funny. I will see them coming to visit Whitby because we have the better restaurants. Like even just. There's that, and of course the name escapes me on the top. There's that brunch place downtown Whitby, which is absolutely amazing, across from Jacked Up.
Yes.
There's just so many unique and fascinating things. And then even for the people that are focused on on playing video games, like 8-Bit Bean Cafe, which is great.
Yes, around the four corners.
Yeah, right at the four corners, and then you've got in there, and you run into people that are up there playing Guitar Hero right at the front, which is awesome.
Nice.
whether grabbing a coffee, like there's just so many great, amazing businesses and restaurants that we all need to support because if we don't support them, they're not going to be there. And that's what makes part of the town's culture so vibrant is all of these local creative entrepreneurs that put their blood, sweat, and tears out there into their business. And we have to find ways to support them and make them successful so that we get to enjoy the fruit of their labor. And it also helps build a better community, which is something that we're all really proud to be part of.
That's very true. Well said. How can people, connect with you and discover more about yourself, your platform?
For sure.
You?
So we're still early days. Campaign starting is May 1st. So again, I encourage people to reach out to me. So it's our website's chrislehey.ca. You can email me directly. It's chris@chrislehey.ca. So
very good. No secrets.
No secrets there. Everything is online. Every word is recorded. Everything. You don't like something, it'll have it on there. But I encourage you to look at all the things we've done and the track record we've done. And all of us, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, but I like to make the difference. When I make a mistake, I apologize right away, try and make amends, and find way to move forward in a positive, respectful way, because that is how we build strong leadership, in my opinion. It's through good treatment of others and kindness and looking after everyone in our community, whether you are a homeowner, whether you are struggling, whether you are homeless in the ravine, you need access to regional resources. Like, we need to work on all of those things, because we're measured by how we take care of each other, and it does take a village to raise a family, and we need to all be engaged to be part of that village and how we can all work together better. Maybe it's just doing a community cleanup in your area. You want to do a community cleanup, let me know and I'll help coordinate with the town. You want to help at the food banks. Food banks are hurting right now. So where there's a food drive going on at the town as well. So we encourage people to come in and donate to the food bank and donate to the Salvation Army and donate to St. Andrews and donate to Feed the Need, because with the high cost of living, there's a high demand on things for food. So we need to do things like that. And if you're looking for a choice, the best way to help is we'll take the food. Food is great. But if we can give cash to Feed the Need, Feed the Need is the area distributor for all of the food banks, and they have access to buying things at bulk, at cost from all of the grocery stores and the distributors. So they can stretch that dollar way further than you or I can. Like, it's great, you're going through and you grab a thing of peanut butter and you throw it in at the Salvation Army bin at the superstore. But all that is welcome. But if the way your dollar can go the furthest is by donating directly to Feed the Need, because they can take that money and get it a lot further. Like, another great thing we accomplished this term in council was opening up the additional food bank at Iroquois Park. So it's there. So you make your appointment. It's there a couple of days a week, and it's kind of like grocery store style. So you go in and pick what you need instead of just going with traditional food bank where they will give you a bag and maybe you're allergic to peanut butter, but you got a bag of peanut butter. This way you're having it more grocery store style. So you pick, in this area, pick 2 items here and 2 items here but you get the choice. And so that there's less waste and people are getting what they want. So so people reach out to Feed the Need. They can get all the dates and times because they change sometimes. So I don't want to say anything in case it's wrong, but Feed the Need Durham. And for those that are, food insecure and need those supports, we have expanded that in the program. We're always doing food bank drives to help that, because we need to help the most vulnerable in the community, and that's something else that we all need to focus on as well. So that's an important thing, an important piece of community. Yeah,
well said, all around. I've been seeing their trucks everywhere lately, actually, just in the past week, very busy, and thank goodness for them, thank God. Councillor Leahy, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I feel like this
absolute pleasure. We're always at 2 hours. Yeah, I'm sure my phone's like, where are you?
I know. Out of your busy schedule, thank you so much. I think this is really great, and I'm sure more candidates may come on after you.
I would encourage them, because we'll open the floodgates and listen to other people's perspectives, because that's my perspective. It's not the only perspective.
Yeah, just well said all around. Yeah, just fantastic. Thank you so much. Best of luck in your run.
Thank you.
And might have you come back on, because I feel like there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, so much is going on at the town, like all the stuff. Like, we didn't even dive into, my plan for the waterfront. There's a lexicon. There's all these things that we can really dive into.
Waterfront plan would be fantastic. Yeah. Brock and Taunton is a whole other egg.
Oh yeah, we never even got to that.
Open.
Yeah. And that's talk on the planning process, some of our challenges and other different things. Yeah, there's all kinds of topics. But again, another time.
We'll do a part 2.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks so much for coming
Appreciate it.
Excellent.
Bye.